Welcome to today's Table Talk session. It's the health talk on PCOS and its symptoms. So, today's Table Talk session, yes, it's a health talk. Yes, it's focusing on PCOS. But overall, if you have felt not like yourself and you can relate to some of these symptoms, you may want to talk to your doctor about what I'm speaking on today. This is all about creating real conversations because for myself, before I actually was diagnosed with this condition, I didn't have a sister that I could tangibly talk to that fully understood how I was feeling, both physically and emotionally. I didn't feel like there was anybody that could relate to how I was feeling, literally. And it wasn't until I had the diagnosis and I talked to just a sister in general, and I realized that there was another woman that had a condition just like myself who could relate to the symptoms, and it helped me to feel better. And for myself, with Table Talk Sessions, that's the goal, to provoke real conversations, to uplift and encourage. So, getting right to it. PCOS symptoms may begin shortly after puberty, but it can also develop during later teen years or even in early adulthood. So for myself, when I look at things now, I recognize there were some warnings, I would say, or some symptoms that were there. However, they weren't extreme, so it kind of went undiagnosed. I didn't bring it up to my doctors. I didn't talk to my mom about it because I thought it was normal. Whereas now, after being diagnosed, after doing more research on PCOS, it may not have been as normal as I thought, which is why I think it's important to have this conversation. For this, PCOS, as I was stating, can go undiagnosed for some time because sometimes the condition symptoms they can overlap or pair with something else that is similar. So here are a couple of symptoms that you can look for. For this one, you can look at weight gain. So, women who have PCOS sometimes have weight gain. And for myself, that was one of my symptoms. And when I say weight gain, I'm talking about all of a sudden, I was not changing what I was eating from the standard diet. I was eating for years hot dogs, hamburgers, fries, chicken nuggets, chicken tenders. I was eating these things for years. And then all of a sudden, when I hit my early adulthood, I'm gaining weight and gaining weight and gaining weight. And it was like, why all of a sudden am I blowing up when before my body was able to adjust and I was maintaining? So, weight gain is something that can happen. And again, it could be underlying, your PCOS can be underlying and undiagnosed. And then all of a sudden, something just causes it to flare up. Women who have PCOS can have extreme obesity or they can be underweight. And that was one of the things that my doctor talked to me about was trying to get my body to where I could lose the weight because it was causing flare-ups. It was causing more and more extreme symptoms with PCOS. Another symptom is fatigue. And I don't mean like I'm tired today. I am talking about extreme fatigue. Like it's almost like not just physically fatigued, but it's emotionally draining as well. Because in your mind, there's so many things that you want to do, there's so many places that you want to be going, but you physically are exhausted. And you may not have done a whole lot, but it's just like the hormonal imbalance that's in your body just makes you feel so tired. True story was that I was in middle school, and when I was in middle school, I used to sleep all the time. And at the time, I just was like, well, Siobhan, you like to nap. Like people would be like, Siobhan likes to nap. I mean, I could be in the car, I would fall asleep. I would get home off the bus, and I'm sleeping for 4 hours. I'm sleeping until my mama calls me for dinner. Like sleep all the time. I will never forget my cousin. He would come by and check on my mom and dad just to come see us at random. And this particular day, it was getting closer to dinner time, and I could feel myself waking up, and I could hear him coming in because he was loud. And so I'm just trying to get myself together where I can get up out the bed. I would get in the bed, I would be knocked out. So anyway, so my cousin walks in and he's like, "Hey everybody," he's talking to everybody, and he's like, "Where's Siobhan at?" And again, I'm in the bed just trying to get the strength to get up. Middle school, like I done worked 13 hours. And so he's like, "Where's Siobhan at?" And they're like, "Siobhan up there asleep." And I know he's like one that will come tickle you and mess with you. So I'm trying to get up. So he makes it to the room and he's like, why is it that every time I come you are sleeping? Like, what is wrong? He's like, "Do we need to talk? Are you depressed? Like, what is going on, cousin?" And I'm laughing. But now, when I think about that, that could have been me having early signs of the PCOS that was just going undiagnosed, you know? So I used to shake. Like my mom would ask me to hand her a piece of paper, and by the time I got it to her, the paper is just like, shaking. So my mom had taken me to a doctor, and she wanted me to go to a neurologist to make sure that there was nothing wrong. And the doctor was saying she has hypoglycemia. I remember as a kid, this doctor asking me about breakfast, lunch, and dinner. He was asking about my eating patterns, and I was honest. I have a crazy memory, but I remember him asking me like, "How often do you eat breakfast? How often do you eat lunch?" And he wanted me to be serious. And so my mom was there, but she had like stepped out for a second, and I was telling him how I don't really like to eat breakfast. I don't really eat lunch. I really just eat dinner. And so he was telling my mom like, eventually my mom, explained it to me as a kid, like, you have hypoglycemia. Sometimes your blood sugar level drops. And so when I felt lightheaded, when I felt like I was about to faint or things like that, it just made me aware that you need to be eating. You should eat something. So that's a symptom. Another symptom is having unwanted hair growth. So, have you ever seen a lady and when you look at her, she has like maybe hair on her chin or she has a mustache here, and you're like, okay, well, that's kind of extreme. Well, that's hormonal and she can't really help that. Like, that's real. There's an excess of androgens, there's an excess of testosterone, and it happens. And with women who have PCOS, that's one of the symptoms. Another symptom is thinning of hair. You could start having like a receded hairline similar to a man's hair. That's like that testosterone again. Another symptom is infertility. So women sometimes don't even find out that they have PCOS until they're actually trying to conceive because it's paired with infertility. Um, and not to say that a woman who has PCOS cannot have children. There are women who have PCOS and have children, but still have the condition. They may struggle to have more than one child. It just depends. And each woman that has PCOS, it varies from woman to woman with the symptoms as well. Another symptom is acne. Acne. Now, I am very happy right now at my skin. Um, this has been like a real change for myself. I mean, years I struggled with acne. When I was in middle school, it would be on my forehead. As I changed to high school, it would be on my cheeks. And then when I got to college, it moved down to underneath my jaw. And I'm talking about cystic acne, like the ones that are nodules. They would sit on my nerves and it would almost lead to a migraine. And without fail, it would come right before my cycle or it would come during my cycle. The worst. But after changing my diet and changing over to this ketogenic eating, the keto diet, my acne is basically non-existent. Like, I don't have it. And that's like one of the pros and why I'm really promoting like this for women who have PCOS. The next thing is mood changes. Now, sadly to say, I was one who did have mood changes. I could go from being on a cloud of 1,000 and I'm just like, "Hey y'all, what up, what up, what up?" And then I could be to the point where I'm just like, I'm not feeling it. Like, I just don't want to do life. I don't want to do it today. Let's just not do it. And my husband, Man, that was like one of the funniest conversations when I went to my holistic doctor, and she's like, not even asking me. She looks at him and she's like, how's her mood? And I'm like, ask me. I'm the one that's dealing with this. And he like was like, oh my gosh. And I didn't realize that literally I would just be like, I was just messed up. That's all. I was just messed up hormonally. Headaches are another symptom. So the headaches, my gosh. My mom was probably gonna get me, but my mom used to have headaches like all the time. And as a kid, I'd be like, man, mama always have a headache. But now I understand, like, it's crazy. And I'm not talking about just like during your cycle. I could have headaches before, during, after, like PMS to a whole nother level. And it's almost like migraines. Like I would get sick on the stomach. I couldn't look at the light, like migraines. And my headaches have very, very much so lessened, but they are not completely gone. They are not completely gone. And yeah, symptoms are headaches, definitely. And I've had headaches my whole life. Even as a young child, I remember having headaches. And now that I know that I have that condition, is like, maybe that was like one of, again, those underlying things that you didn't, piece together. The last one that I'm going to talk about as a symptom, and it's not necessarily the last symptom with PCOS, but the last one I'm going to mention are sleep problems. Now, I explained that I used to sleep all the time. I napped all the time with fatigue. Now, the crazy part, and this was like one of the survey questions I had to answer when I went to my holistic doctor, was on my sleep. Now, I would sleep all the time. I would sleep fine during the day. But when it was time to really go to bed, I struggled, like insomnia. And like, I'm talking about a night owl, 3 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning. I'm up, like, let's go, let's go. Like, what we doing today? Like, I'm talking about like insomnia, crazy, right? I'm telling you how much I can sleep, how much I enjoy sleep, and I can sleep during the day. But at nighttime, when it counts, it's like my body was on 1,000. And that was something that we talked about when I went to my holistic doctor. We were talking about your cortisol levels. We were talking about androgens. We were talking about how your body gets to where it can't calm itself down. Like, this stuff is real. And you're like going through life. I was going through life not feeling like myself, not feeling good. And I'm like, I need some help. Like, help me. Help me. Now, out of all of those symptoms that I just listed, there were a total of 10 that I just gave as symptoms. I experienced 9 of them. 9. So go into the doctor, and I'm telling the doctor all of this that I'm feeling. The holistic doctor is just like, yeah, like what you're saying is legit. I had to do a test, and it was a test that she sent in to be run off basically. And I had to take this test in the morning, in the middle of the day, and then I had to take it like early in the morning. When I say in the morning, it was like maybe like 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. So I had to take a test at like 3 or 4 in the morning, take a test like in the middle of the day, and then I had to take a test at night. And she was looking at this test when she showed me the results, and she was explaining it to my husband and I. She was talking about how most women, I will find the paper and I'll have to explain it. But she was showing that most women, the levels go up and down and up and down. And she looks at mine and she's like, do you see this line? She's like, your line is basically flatlining. And she's like, I cannot imagine how you are feeling. This line that she was showing me was my energy. This line that she was showing me is what helps you with your anxiety, what helps you with going against depression. I am walking around feeling like crud. I had been walking around, not am, I had been walking around feeling so bad, not like myself, yucky, just irritable, and physically and emotionally feeling this way. And it took that doctor showing me that paper that I was flatlining. And she was like, I cannot imagine how you're feeling. This is why I am doing this table talk session, this health talk, because you may be feeling like crud. You may feel like there's something off, and very much so it may be. I encourage you to be an advocate for yourself. Get to the root of what is going on with you. That is today's table talk session on PCOS, polycystic ovarian syndrome. Again, you may feel some of these symptoms and it may not be PCOS, but if you are aware of this gives you something to talk to your doctor about. Next time, we will talk about PCOS and the diagnosis, like how I was able to finally figure out that this is the condition that I had. If you have enjoyed this table talk session or you're looking for more information, stay tuned. See you next time at our next table talk session. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe.